the real question is, when does something that's quote-unquote popular become classic? Is it simply because the public likes it for a really long time, or was it always a classic? Hello fellow Aussians, and welcome to the channel. Today we are looking at the latest issue of the Baum Bugle, which is one of the publications from the International Wizard of Oz Club. The only way that you can get the Baum Bugle is through the club. So if you haven't joined the club yet, I've provided a link down in the description if you would like to get the this issue and later issues of the Baum Bugle. Check out the club's website at ozclub.org. The Baum Bugle is published 3 times a year with a winter, spring, and autumn issues. This is the autumn issue of 2023. And this issue is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Annotated Wizard of Oz. And the Annotated Wizard of Oz was the first nonfiction reference Oz book that I ever saw as a kid. And I remember going into this one particular local bookstore and that had this book, and I would always go right up to where it was and just thumb through it over and over and over again. And I remember it was my grandmother that bought me that book. I have really great memories of going into that bookstore. It was the first time that I had ever seen a book that wasn't just about the MGM movie. I remember there were pictures in there of Return to Oz and The Wiz, and it was really exciting that there was somebody else that knew about different things other than the most famous movie, and that just really excited me. So I have really fond memories of this particular book. But inside the Baum Bugle, we have an interview with the author of the Annotated Wizard of Oz, that is Michael Patrick Hearn. He is an L. Frank Baum and Wizard of Oz historian, and it was very intriguing to hear about how the Annotated Wizard of Oz came about. And it's also kind of fascinating as far as when he got the book deal and when it was published, as far as his own education goes, because he got the book deal while he was still a student. And he says that he had just recently had a group of teachers absolutely rip his work apart. And oh gosh, they told him like that. It was just very interesting that his experience at a university wasn't exactly the warmest when it comes to educators. Especially when they found out that he had gotten the book deal. Because none of them said congratulations. I was just like, wow. Just wow. As far as teachers being supportive of their students. And this kind of goes into the next article that I really liked, which is Oz Under Scrutiny, which talks about the different reviews that the book got back in 1973, and this one's written by the Bugle editor Sarah Kreutzer. And what I really liked about this is that it talks about something that I've seen over and over again in schools and colleges as far as their attitude towards L. Frank Baum and the Wizard of Oz. And it's somewhat annoying. I've always had this stance. I've always been annoyed by how there are other children's books that academia at large considers to be quote-unquote literature, and the Wizard of Oz is not on that list. It's just always snubbed. And it's always baffled me, since it's American, and it is a classic. And that's something that she highlights in her article, that reviewers of the Annotated Wizard of Oz were also having a hard time with was the idea of considering the Wizard of Oz literature that we should analyze. And there's this idea of Oz being, is it a classic or is it popular? And the real question is, when does something that's quote-unquote popular become classic? Is it simply because the public likes it for a really long time, or was it always a classic? Maybe y'all can answer that. I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting. It brought up a whole bunch of different questions in my head. Whatever the case is, I really related to both of these particular articles because I had a very similar experience when I was at college with the professors that I had. I was going for music, and it's just very interesting and kind of sad that academia has this snooty sort of attitude when it comes to people not necessarily thinking in their way, and it's someone who thinks outside the box. Academia really doesn't like those kinds of people. They like people that just listen and say, oh yes, I will do exactly what you want. And I don't know, that's something that I thought was sad that he experienced the same thing, but also kind of made me feel good that I wasn't the only one that had that kind of experience with people who are supposed to be there for you to mentor you, but at the end of the day, they're really only there just to tell you how they think you should do things based off of their own criteria and not necessarily all of the options as far as what you could do. It's just what they approve of. And that's kind of what I'm getting back with, like, the Wizard of Oz being considered literature. That's just a subject that I'm like, I think it is literature. You could probably argue that maybe just The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is, and that maybe the later books aren't. Whatever the case is. And it's not like Baum wasn't a prolific author and that he just wrote the Oz books. There's like tons of other stuff that he wrote, and they weren't all just books. He also wrote poetry and plays, and it's like, I don't understand why we're shunning Baum. I don't get it. Anyways, those are some of my highlights from the Baum Bugle. Did you get this issue of the Baum Bugle? What did you think of it? Let's have a discussion in the comment section. And if you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. New videos are posted every 2 weeks on the 15th and last day of each month. And if that doesn't satisfy your appetite for Oz, follow the link in the description to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. Until next time, bye y'all.